To the cloud. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I am okay. How about you? What's going on
I
with you?
I am good. And I just wanted to say welcome back to everybody who, Melissa and I took like 4 or 5 weeks off and to take care of some family and just enjoy time, taking Sarah some self-care and personal needs. And so we're back today, and Melissa's going to take us through some stuff here in a minute, but we were about to talk about something. Do you remember what it was, or did we both let it already slip out of our mind?
I think it's regarding the topic of the of discussion today, what we're going to be talking about. Um, it's interesting because I was just going to say, so often when I was younger, all the way there was these different things that were going on in my mind, and it would feel like I was kind of being critical and judgmental. And I wasn't sure where that came from, but I realized, it's that's part of being human is becoming aware of, what might be, triggering in a way where we do go in a place where we kind of get in a spiral sometimes.
Oh,
I noticed I was
absolutely.
I was doing that when I was on this recent trip with my family, and I just realized how different it is when you do spend time with people that are just very different energy, and I found myself being judgmental and critical of someone else that I was spending time with. And I realized it just really is important to just kind of set, I didn't know this, but we talked about boundaries before.
Mhm.
And it's important to set boundaries when you're feeling like you're just getting overwhelmed. There's too much going on. If you find yourself, like for myself, finding I'm being critical of someone or something going on, that's when I need a break. That's
Oh,
when I need
yeah,
to get
absolutely.
away and just kind of be still and be chill out.
If we're aware enough to realize they're doing it, because like I think you have like surpassed me in the understanding your triggers and how they affect you. And I understand my triggers and how they affect me, but I'm still in that phase where I'm still fine-tuning the, oh crap, I couldn't control that and it all just came out. Now how do I fix what I just did? And so, we're all in different stages and phases in our life. And
Different
even if
stages
you
and phases.
even if you've gone through that phase already and learned that lesson, I promise you're going to come back to it.
It's
So, because
it's
you go deeper and deeper and deeper.
it's always available, and we like Don said, we were coming back after having a few weeks off, and we're kind of reevaluating, and we've decided to kind of go in a direction of moving into some topics, some themes, and something that's going on for us individually and collectively. And we thought maybe we could do that and see where that goes, and maybe just explore and kind of just share. And it's related to my journey, this particular theme. And this theme is probably judgments and criticism, is everybody, if they are aware of it, it's part of everybody's life. So it's paying attention to this idea of becoming aware of them and then what to do with them.
Absolutely. So, just to reiterate what Melissa just said, today we are going to talk about something that's dear to her, and obviously something that we all really should take the time to learn about in our own personal lives. But it's about judgment and criticism and how we can basically transition from being that reactive personality, which I'm still sort of in, and into maybe we sit with things a little bit longer and learn how to respond instead of reacting. So, Melissa, take
Yeah.
it away.
Okay, well, so I just realized when I was younger, I didn't have these tools, and I wasn't taught how to pay attention to, I mean, really become aware of what you're thinking and believing. Just even in that spot right there, what are you thinking? What are you believing in your now? So I started by becoming aware of my minute to minute, hour to hour. And I started writing it down, believe it or not. This is kind of hard for some people to actually pay attention to it and then write it down. And I found by the end of the day, when I started doing this practice, I was up to like 30, 40 different judgments and criticisms about myself and about someone else or what's going on in the world.
Oh,
So,
you know what?
gee,
Only 30? Only 30? I'm telling you, I couldn't even imagine. I feel like that I have that in an hour. It's like I like throughout the whole day. Oh my gosh, I probably had a couple hundred, if not 1,000.
Well,
We're working through that, and we are human. And how information comes, because if you think about it, we're
yeah.
almost like these little computers, and information
Hmm.
comes in, we process, or some of us don't process, and then blah, information goes out. And
Right.
I think that's a little bit about what you're going to share with us today, right? How you
Right.
slowed down, how you learned how to kind of slow that process down, and um, become less judgmental and less
Just
and less
become,
critical.
yeah. And I have to say that this is something that people who have been meditating and working on letting go of painful things for a long time, they still get triggered. People still get pulled into it. So I'm just here to say, you know what, this is going to be a journey for all of us for quite a while. Unless you're sitting at the top of a mountaintop and you're meditating all day and there's nothing else going on around, you still have to survive, right? So this is kind of like if you're not wanting to become, or it's too much to do the minute by minute, which is a lot of work, because when you think about the wake hours, 12 hours of wake hours, minute by minute might be just too much. I would do like 3 times a day or hour to hour, just kind of checking in and asking where you are and just asking that question of, am I being judgmental right now?
So
Hmm.
to help you cultivate awareness, one of the things you are suggesting is that throughout the day, obviously if you have the life and you're blessed enough to be able to do it several times an hour and write it down, wonderful. But the majority of people are probably working or parents or
Right.
not in the space that you and I are, where we do have a little more peace and we can really dive a little bit deeper. But so maybe a couple times a day is what you're saying,
Right.
right? Or
It's
to
a
just
couple
become
times.
aware of your thoughts
Hmm.
and your feelings.
Right, right. Becoming aware, and also, not if you don't want to write it down, just tape record it in your phone.
Oh, that's a really, you know what? We are so blessed in some ways when it comes to the digital age that we are in, because we can just pick up a recorder and put it into our voice thing, or, you know, my messenger on Facebook. I literally, that is filled with just messages to myself. I'm
Yeah.
always going there, or Google Docs, and I'm always, writing things down and thoughts down. So can you tell me though, what brought this up for you? What made you decide this was a good tool for you? Did you learn it from somebody, or how was it brought in and introduced into your healing journey?
That's a good question. I would say over the years, when I started really doing this journey of really wanting to explore the impacts of my life, I really started going to different groups and different meetings and started reading different things and therapy. I had therapy for a while and it was very helpful. Just, that wanting my life to go more smoothly. And I realized when I was becoming aware of how many times I thought, wow, I was looking at the impact it had. Like I could feel my heart beating fast and my stomach hurting. And I just didn't want to feel that physiological stuff anymore. So I just wanted to be aware of, and I learned in Byron Katie, which is one of the tools, the work, Byron Katie, I would recommend for anybody who wants to question their thoughts, because that's her tools. That's what she does. Is she helps you observe. And this is the thing I really appreciate is she and other people, and then along with my own thing that I put together, is becoming aware of your observer, because we have an observer in all of us. We can't actually, it's almost disassociating, but I don't even want to say it that way. But in a way, it's like you're almost kind of looking outside yourself at yourself,
Well,
observing.
I think it's really interesting that you use the word disassociate, because in all actuality, when I think about how I pull away from the ego for a minute, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
everybody has an ego, we all need one. It's part of our functioning motor, and it has many negative, but also very many positive
Positive.
qualities. But in order to just observe versus actually being an active commenter, or feeling like you have to
Mm-hmm.
take action, or feeling like you have to do something, that brings in a lot of acceptance. And there is a level of dissociation with it, because you almost have to separate yourself from the situation.
Yeah,
So
I think
dissociation is really not a bad word in this particular case.
that's see, this is some semantics, right? And this is important about definitions, and what you're saying is right on, because just because you're disassociating doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
This is a really important point that you made. This observer thing, that I call it the observer or my observer or whatever you want to term it, it is a way of maybe it took me a while to learn this. is to look at it without judging it. Now,
And
whew,
that is where gosh, I wish everybody had this tool. Again, the reason I'm sharing that I'm still cultivating mine is because if you went on my social media, some days we have rough days. And you'd be like, that's not the same person I just saw 2 days ago posts from. But the truth is, it's all me. All of
it's
it's
you.
me. The good days, the
It's
bad days, the struggling days, the judgmental days, the peaceful, accepting days. But like you're saying, it's about bringing that observer part forward and allowing them to just look at the situation and ask yourself some questions. What questions do you think they should be asking themselves?
well, the one question that says, check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I being judgmental or critical right now? Yes or no is a yes or no question. And then try to observe the why. Let's sit with that.
What
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 is
is
the
it that's
why?
making me feel like I have the need to judge or criticize somebody right now?
And then without hurting yourself or others.
I did catch
That's tough.
myself I'm watching these people online all the time. It's a social media age, and there's this couple that are in recovery, and I caught myself thinking, "Oh, they shouldn't be dating each other. It's too soon. He's only had a little bit of time, and she's just barely getting out of a certain situation, like a detox center." And I remember looking at it, going, "Oh gosh, this is just a recipe for disaster." And whether or not it is, that's up to them. They're adults. They can work their own journeys and their own healing process. But the
Yeah.
reason I'm sharing this is because in that moment I said, "Ooh, Dawn, you are judging them. Why are you judging them?" And do you know what it was for me when my
Hmm.
observer kind of just really sat with things for a second? I'm jealous. And it's not on
Hmm.
purpose. I'm not trying to be jealous, but when I really brought it down, it's like, Don, you had to go through your recovery with nobody, with absolutely nobody. For a minute, I thought I had somebody, but that turned toxic real quick. And so then I had to go through everything all alone. And I was looking at it and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they get to have each other while they're going through this. And so when I really traced it back, I was being judgmental and critical because of that jealousy. But then I traced it even further back and it was like, because I felt alone when I was going through it. And gosh, if there had been somebody who was, a year or two into their recovery who wanted to support me in my earlier, that would have been so beautiful. So that really changed my perception on it. And the comment I was ready to leave just became no comment at all after that. It's just a love on their little post. So coming back to
This,
you, this is your thing. I just wanted to share that with people because that's how the work is
that's
done.
important.
That's the
Yeah.
work right there.
Well, and
It's
oh, go ahead. I'm
No, I'm
just,
just saying it's stopping,
oh,
observing,
being
and then
vulnerable,
being vulnerable with
courageous,
myself.
open,
Yes, because
curious.
I would tell you hands down to my grave that I'm not a jealous person anymore. And it just showed me that yeah, you still have a little bit of that in you, and that's okay. And I love that part of me too. We're gonna work on it.
You get to work on it. It's an
Yeah.
everyday. And then the thing that I want people to remember too is it's work, but it's also if you can pay attention to maybe being open and curious and observing, because be mindful of the words that we use, right? Because we all are on the path. We're all on a journey. We've all kind of been through heck, even people that have gone through very wealthy upbringings also have gone through some hard stuff. So just being able to be aware and open, and during the next step would be like during the day, kind of checking in with yourself. It's adding to checking in with yourself. If you can actually check in with yourself 3 times a day, just you don't even have to ask if you're being judgmental, but where are you in that moment? three
So
times a day.
maybe setting a tiny alarm on your iPhone watch or your Android phone or whatever you have, and maybe when it goes off, you can kind of just sit with yourself just for like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you're lucky. But sit there and just say, okay, let's go over the first part of the day. Let's go over the afternoon and really just ask yourself some questions.
Yeah.
It is difficult when you think about because I'm like thinking about my daughter who's working all day and then she has her kids, she's getting her kids in the morning and then kid in the evening. And it's like, when would she have time to do that? And it's like, I guess when you go to the bathroom, sit there for a second, when you go to get yourself another cup of coffee or your great electrolyte water, those are the times you can maybe ask yourself.
Oh, I like that. That's a really good idea for people who are listening. And just, if you the idea is being able to reflect, reflect on your day. And this is another part is reflect on your day and flash to one time where you felt you were being judgmental towards someone or something outside of yourself and write it down without justification, just as it was.
I love that. And you used a word earlier, Melissa, that I should have kind of highlighted. You used the word curiosity.
Mm,
It's instead of being judgmental, try being curious.
mm,
Why do I feel this way? What's going on in my life right now that's possibly contributing to these feelings? Like for me, I'm going through menopause. I'm going through some medical treatments right now. I'm on edge naturally. Even if there was nothing to judge, I'm on edge naturally. So that's probably contributing to it.
I would say so. And anybody in your position, I mean, what you've shared with me is all, I feel like it's a lot because it's not just one thing, and it definitely is giving you an opportunity to grow from it because, pain and frustration and I mean all the things that go on when you are going through as a person going through medical situations. It definitely gives us an opportunity to kind of really go, okay, how am I going to show up for myself, how am I going to be with myself, and how am I going to be towards the world? And it's going to be different every moment, every day. It's going to be different for all of us. So the other thing that's really important is to reflect when you can think of one time during the day where you can reflect on when you were feeling compassion or you're
Mm.
feeling strength. And then write that down. What did it feel like in your mind and your body? And pay
So we're
attention
not
to,
only paying attention to the more negative qualities of judgmental and criticism, we're going to become aware and observe when we've been strong and when we've practiced compassion and empathy too.
especially with ourselves
Oh, I love that.
and especially towards somebody else. And sometimes, and we've talked about it before, it's very challenging with people that are hurtful. I'll just put that like that. People that
Yeah.
seem hurtful, and it's really challenging for people to. I notice in my own path in this whole transformative journey was the more I realized, um, I felt this stuck about something that was going on with somebody that I felt like I had no control over. It was hurting me. I felt tense. I looked in the mirror myself. My face was tense. I wasn't smiling.
Mm,
I wasn't out enjoying my garden and smelling the roses. I was just in that place in my mind about why is that person, why do they keep doing that? I wish they would change. And what do I do about something that's in my life that is there and there's nothing I can do about it?
right, right. Not having that control over the situation and how it's your body's responding to that. That can be a very uncomfortable situation sometimes. I wonder from when you finally started practicing these new tools and techniques of observing and just questioning yourself and not being judgmental of your feelings. How
Mm-hmm.
long would you say it took you before they really just became second nature?
That's a good question. Years,
Yep.
years.
I I am still not there and I try to do it myself and I'd say I'm about going on about 6 years in of being very serious, taking my
Mm-hmm.
healing seriously, and I'm still not there. So, I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, can only hope next year's the year that it's just second nature. But you just keep going with it, right? You just
Right. You
keep
just you
trying.
just keep trying. And the thing I appreciate about journaling and dating the journals, even if you do something like, writing it down during the day, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of stuff, but it could be, you look at it. I've done that. And I looked at it like years later. I'll find my old journal. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like that in, 2004. What? And then I look at myself now, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore. I may be doing something else, but it's changed a little bit, but it's not so, it doesn't feel so extreme anymore. I feel like there's more peace in my life now because I've been doing these practices.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And what came to my mind was I just got done watching Outlander. Oh, I'm so sad it's over. But
Oh,
one of the things that kind of, when I was watching that, I always get these questions like, how did they know what people 400 years before them? How did they know what 400 people before them, 400 years before them? And it was all because they wrote things down
mm,
and they kept a record. And so it's almost like I can keep a record of my life,
yeah,
not for judgment purposes, just to be able to go back and map out, look how far I've come. Look
yeah,
at what I really thought was it 5 years ago, and now I scoff at that. Not in a judgmental way, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I really thought that was the thing, and now I've come so far. So I really think you're right onto something with how important it is to write these things down and
yeah.
record them.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful for people who, especially if you're even might not be asking the questions, but if your body's feeling tense and you look at your face and you're not smiling in the mirror, or you have this, your body feels tense, that's usually a sign that there's something going on. You may not know what it is, and you could just do this simple. I mean, it might not be simple for some people, and it might be challenging because it is important to stay curious and open. Even if you do like the three thoughts or actions that added, pay attention to, maybe this is kind of another step, is pay attention to your just three thoughts, three actions during the day that brought it stress. Even
Mm.
if you could just do something like that every day, you may not want to look at the stress. I have to tell you though, when I look at the stress and say it out loud, then I can do something to change it.
Absolutely. I have to kind of throw in a little disclaimer there if
Yeah,
you want to change it, because
yeah,
here's the
exactly.
thing. There have been so many times in the last 6 years of me being, working on myself that I don't know, my daughter or a friend or somebody will be like, I don't know, Don, I think you're being a little judgmental. And I'm in that moment and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care that I'm being judgmental. Now, does that go away after I start to calm down and I'm like, oh, she was
Yeah,
right,
yeah. And it calms down.
But
But
we're not doing these things in our lives because we're supposed to. We're not
no,
doing these things because that's the only way to heal.
that's right.
We're not doing these things because everybody else thinks we should. We're doing
No.
them because it's part of being a human and growing.
It's part of being human, it's part of growing, and it's like giving yourself a break is what I learned a long time ago. It was kind of the judgment criticism for myself. And then I would just like put my hands up sometimes and just say, give it a break.
Why do you think it's so hard, Melissa? Why do you think it's so
Um,
hard for us to just take a step back and observe versus being judgmental and critical to ourselves or others?
Mm. Well, part of it, I think, is hardwiring because we are hardwired to survive, and so by focusing on negativity, there's that bias of negativity that helps us stay alive from
Absolutely.
way way back,
It's
right?
actually the brain's natural wiring is, like you said, wired for that negativity because our ancestors had to survive. They couldn't just walk out of the cave and be like, oh, life's all la la, peaceful, flowers, roses, sunshine. Because
And
the
then
next thing they know they're getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger because they weren't
the
paying attention and being more negative. So they maybe have to go out and go, oh my God, is there a cow? Is there not a cow? Is there a tiger out here today? Or, you know, are my
maybe
enemies out here?
maybe maybe a really old cow.
I don't, it would be an old cow, wouldn't it? I
It
don't
would
think
be a
they were
really
back
old
in
cow.
saber-toothed tiger days. But the point is, it
Yeah,
is our brain is literally, you can look it up, anybody. I can't quote exactly right now. I'd have to go through my books, but
yeah,
we are hardwired for negativity. So
yeah,
it
and
is hard to kind of make that switch sometimes.
yeah. So again, it's paying attention to, really just paying attention to how often you might be negative versus positive. Now we are slanted into negative slant, and it's all around us. It's on social media platforms. It's on the news. It's, it's on this. You read the stuff that's going on in your community, and you go, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to go outside and walk today." So there's the fear is all around. So it's just, what are we paying attention to that feeds into that negative bias, that negative slant on life?
What's what's in your programming today? Like I remember back when TV was like the big thing, everybody sat in front of the boob tube they used to call it. And do you remember that? Do you remember anybody calling it the boob tube? And it was like they call it television programming for a reason. You are literally being programmed to believe what that TV is teaching you. Well, that to me is another reason it can might be hard for us to just observe and not judge ourselves or others because of the conditioning or programming we've had growing up or in
Yeah.
our environments.
Yes.
We adapt to,
We
oh,
talked about this.
if I criticize myself first, if I tell myself I look fat in these jeans before anybody else does, I've protected myself.
Mm. Gosh, that's really powerful what you just said. If you say something negative about yourself first, then you're protecting yourself. I wonder how many people like watching the video would actually think, "Wow, gosh, I've done that before." Hmm.
Hmm.
And then what
How
does that
about,
mean? I mean, what does that feel like for you when
well, for
you have
me,
done something
it's
like
just like
that?
if I say it first, number one, then I either can say, okay, I'll go change to something where I feel like would be more acceptable to other people, in how I look or whatever. So then I don't get critiqued or feel like I'm being made fun of or feel like people are judging me or, making that look and then looking at their friends. All of those things that have, what are they called? They're kind of like microaggressions throughout life that have hurt us as human
Yeah.
beings. And, or even your friend going, oh, that's a nice pair of jeans, but you can tell by their tone or their body language that it is. It's them being microaggressive. So if I do it first,
Mm.
I've prepared myself for that. So then I can change.
Mm.
Or if you still do it, I don't care because I've already done it. I've already completely annihilated myself. So when you do it, it's just a
Gosh,
or a drop in the bucket, you know?
isn't that interesting how quick it is? How quick that is to say something about yourself and then or say something about someone else, and then before you know it, it takes you on to another negative. I noticed that about myself is I say something or I think something negative, and then it's like feeds into something else more negative, and before I know it, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, I'm into this. I did that the other day, and my husband was like, "Are you done being angry yet?" Because I was on a roll. I had to say I was being judgmental and I was being critical, and I was like, it was with something that I felt like I have complete no control over the situation, and really a lot of people don't, other than vote
So
or.
let's just take a moment. Let me reverse Uno this for a second. You brought up judgmentalness and criticalness this week because it does touch close to you. Obviously, it does to most of us, but
Mhm.
for you, it must have been something that you've experienced recently. Did you trace it back to why a certain situation was triggering you to feel that way or behave that way?
I did, and it's quite alarming.
Wow.
So way, way, way back, and I don't know if I shared about this before. I was taken to the Elks Club by my dad when I was about 4 years old,
Okay.
and I was asked to dance. My dad and the guys asked if my dad encouraged me to dance because I love dancing. Because I was in a dance class, I just love dancing and moving. Kids love being in their bodies, right?
Oh,
Just moving
absolutely.
around, and I just realized there was all these older guys. There was no women in the Elks Club, and I was dancing for these guys, and I had this direct link to years and years later when I started taking women's studies classes and I started really learning about subjugation of women and all that. And then it just snowballed. And so it took me back to that time of feeling like I was a sexual object, and I wasn't being
Mm.
valued and listened to by my leader, the
And I
leader
can
of the pack.
imagine, yeah. exactly. It took you back to that point where you felt unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine that you wouldn't be married to your loving husband if he was the type of person that made you feel that way all the time, right?
Right. And it wasn't him, it was regarding
That's what I'm saying. That's where
somebody
exactly
back
where I'm
east.
trying. You jumped ahead. That's exactly where I'm trying to get to. So
Yes.
it wasn't what was happening in the moment that was really wounding you. It was a wound from the past that your subconscious said, "Oh yeah, this reminds you of this. Remember this?" And it just brought it all right back up and then whew, reaction
Yeah, what reaction and like
or
actually, I mean, with
behavior.
behavioral thing, like I realized if I acted a certain way, I would get a certain attention, but I didn't realize until years later that that certain attention was not um, very healthy
Right.
for me as a woman and someone who actually is wanting to live from a loving place. So it's kind of a challenging time sometimes when I do get triggered into this place and I get to catch myself and go, okay, well, look at that. So it's that
And
observer, just look at that, what's happening, and feel my emotions and write and journal. I mean, have these techniques and these practices, so they do work.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's really important to also kind of throw in here, first of all, Melissa and I, we're not doctors, we're not therapists, we're not counselors. We are regular human women who are healing out loud and sharing what works for us. It may
Mm-hmm.
or may not work for you,
Mm-hmm.
but the reason we share this is because we've been able to find a level of peace that is so much better than where we were at one time. And that doesn't mean we've found the top of the mountain and everything's perfect because we're still healing,
Still healing.
still working on
We still
ourselves.
get impacted.
Hmm.
This is the thing that's important is pay attention to when you are impacted by somebody or something. And this is the thing that you get to explore is, you know, look at becoming aware of a situation when you are impacted by your thoughts. Like you could say something like, my thoughts are believing a judgmental thought right now, and just simply be with it. My thoughts are thinking a judgmental thought right now, and I could just be with that and then
Oh, my
see where it
thoughts
takes
are
me.
thinking a judgmental thought right now. Instead of owning it and accepting it as a part of you, who you are, your thoughts, which are passive, I mean, they come and they go. Transient, that's a better word. They're transient.
Like that.
So your thoughts are thinking a judgmental thought. Look at those thoughts go.
Isn't that amazing? There it go. There they go. You
Yes,
can
and
even
so
put them in the stream and you can see them go down the stream.
and I think that we've actually already gone over like identifying the stressors throughout the day that might
Mm-hmm.
add to that. So if you're having I woke up, I remember the dream I had last night. I don't do that all the time, and it was, a less than pleasant dream. And I think it set the tone for the day. So today I've
Mm-hmm.
probably been a little And when
Mm-hmm.
you're in those modes, when you come across that video I came across, I was just like, and they were so happy. And it took me a second to go, oh, Dawn, it has nothing to do with them. You really are happy for them. You really do want what's best for them and for them to be together if that's what they want. It's you. You're in a crabby mood already. It's reminding you of something in your past, and it's making you feel like, God, I was alone when I went through all of that. And look at them. They have each other. And so yeah, it did bring out this part of jealousy where I have to say, okay, Dawn, you're a jealous person sometimes, and that's okay.
And I think that's okay. I think, oh my gosh, when you flash back and over your lifetime, especially in grammar school and then middle school, high school, you could remember the certain things. I know there were certain things that I said and did that weren't very caring towards myself or others. But I have to say it's because I was a little jealous at there was something about that. And it's okay to look at that. And you can even look at the jealousy as, let's take it apart and see what that's about. And instead of harming ourselves more about like, why am I so, just this is part of this practice for me was pay attention to what I'm thinking and what I'm saying and what I'm doing.
And also not to even judge the fact that, so like I can just sit and say, okay, there was a little bit of jealousy. And yes, that's okay. I can realize that's what I was going through. I don't have to quantify or qualify that jealousy right now. I don't have to say, okay, well, I'm jealous. I'm supposed to be not jealous, or I'm jealous, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm experiencing feelings of jealousy right now. The object or the goal is to be not those and to not feel those that way. Because then you're kind of still just putting that pressure on it.
Being more critical of yourself.
The active integration from what I've learned so far with my integrative healing arts practitioner degree or diploma, excuse me, they taught us that integration can happen naturally. And so I don't
Yeah.
have to quantify it. If I can just
No.
sit with those emotions and those feelings and trace them back to what I was originally feeling, that right there might be enough to just integrate that jealousy to where the next time I'm in that situation, it doesn't affect me the same.
It's so important what you said. Now, I don't think I think sometimes just these, when we break things down like what you just did, is super impactful, is super important for people because especially people that are just on this journey, the beginning of this journey of transformation. And, just if you can become aware and be kind, and even if you're being, jealous, like you were saying, it's so important to simply just be with it.
Sit with it and be
Simply be
kind to
with it.
yourself. And I think once we start to spend more time in those mindful moments and we are the observer more, like we're talking about today, that
Mhm.
integration is going to naturally happen and more of your true self starts to shine.
That's
So
exactly right.
I can think of many social media influencers right now that are in their women raging moments. I'm kind of one of them myself, but
Okay.
in their
Yeah.
women raging moments. And you know what? I actually admire them.
It's
Not once have I ever thought they should be kind, they should be nice. I just watch them and I absorb what's meant for me to absorb. And if it's too much, I scroll on. But not
you're open.
telling yourself you have to be a certain way or one way, just being open to allowing the process to happen as it's supposed to.
Oh, that is so right on. Gosh, I'm looking at the time and I don't want to spend too much time, but just, if you could think about really focusing on
Interrupting those thoughts.
yeah, interrupting the thoughts and then even towards the end of the day, not really berating yourself over where you think you should be. Just again, this process it just takes a little time to just kind of be, kind of step in yourself and ask simple questions. And
And
then, yeah, go ahead.
I'll go for it, please.
No, I was just gonna say, towards the end of the day, if you have time to do your gratitude list, we talked about that before, because that helps you train your brain, because your brain, again, these it helps to counteract the negativity that goes on throughout the day. If you can train your brain, and then you can move into different experiences, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. And there's so much metaphysics behind all of that, why it's like that, how we attract the same things we're actually going because of the frequency we're on, and all of that really starts up here. And there's so much behind that, we're getting towards the end of our session here. But I did want to ask Melissa, since this was mostly your topic, even though I kind of chime in all the time.
Oh, that's perfect.
You've shared journaling, you've shared sitting with the thoughts and observing them, you've shared being kind to yourself. Can you think of any other ways? Like, for instance, I can think of I like to color. I like to color.
Yeah,
And so in that moment, I'm able to do kind of a self meditation while I'm coloring. I dissociate. Again, it's probably not the technical term for it, but it's the one we're going to use
we're
today.
gonna use today.
Since
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor,
right.
you're kind of dissociating from those things and you're able to process them a little different and kind of run them through much slower and
Yes,
ask
I
yourself those
totally.
questions. But what
I
other ideas do you have?
Yeah, I completely agree. That was one of the things I left out was I am one that meditates and colors and draws and paints and creates art and I sing and I dance and that is another way to process.
And
I
I know you are always out in nature too. So I can
Yeah.
imagine that any living entity near you that you come into contact with, plants, flowers, animals, probably get a little bit of Melissa talking to them.
I do. I talk to them. I climb I climb the sky looking, chasing the butterflies. My husband says, you climb the sky,
I love that.
whatever that means.
I had my granddaughter this last weekend, just went overnight, and then I took her out to breakfast, and we were walking up. into IHOP, and there are all these yellow flowers in the planter. And she was like kind of pulling it in to smell it, but pulling a little hard. She's 3. And I was like, "No, honey, be careful. We don't want to break it." I was like, "What we do is we can pet the flower and tell it thank you for being beautiful." And she's like, "Thank you for being pretty. Thank you for being beautiful." And I know people were looking at us thinking, "Gone."
That'd be something that I would love for someone to have done with me when I was little. You're
Oh,
doing such a great job
absolutely.
with your granddaughter there, showing her, telling her, being with her, expressing with her. Oh my
She is
gosh.
probably my biggest joy in this world. Her and my daughter
Mm,
are pretty much my biggest pieces of joy. I'm very fortunate
mm,
to have them back in my life.
yeah.
So, did you have anything? You've got the painting, drawing, singing, dancing, meditating.
Walking in nature.
Yeah, and if you watch any of our videos, past, present, or future, that's pretty much going to be a lot of our answers to everything, to be honest with you. So you can just
Hmm.
wrap it all up right here and know that that's going to be the answer
That'll be the answer.
because it works.
Yeah.
It really works. Our brains are
Hmm.
in such like the monkey mind. When you
Yes.
finally set the monkey down and say, "I love you, monkey mind, but take a break."
Yes.
That's when all the other parts of us are able to come out
That's right.
and express and be
Yes.
creative,
Exactly.
patient, and kind.
Patient and kind, and get upset. That's fine. Be a little angry. Just how long are you going to be there? Where are you going to take it?
Yeah.
This is the thing. You just pay attention, observe, and what's going on for you, and take it from there. Right?
Yeah, some days your monkey is going to be a quiet, peaceful, tame little sweetheart that hugs and loves on you. And some days he's going to metamorphosize into if that's a word, metamorphosize, into
Yes.
an ape. And it's just rah.
Today.
But
Funny.
not to throw something at or steal something from the AA playbook, but these tools work if you work them. And the
Mm,
more you start exploring them and the more you start taking the time to try to integrate them into your life, change happens.
does. It does. And it starts with a thought, and it starts with observing.
Oh, I love that. That is so exactly on point. Did you have
Mm.
anything else you'd like to share before we say goodbye today?
I think just be kind to yourself, be nice. We all have emotions, we all have feelings. You don't have to hurry up and get through it, but just be kind to yourself and try to just really become aware, because a new healing path is available. And just taking these steps every day, even if it feels like it might be too much, just start with one thing
Oh, I love that. One thing, tiny steps, one step at a time. We can't climb the whole mountain at once. We have to take one step at a
at a
time.
time.
Right. I love that. And my thing would be pretty much that it's okay wherever you're at. It's
Yeah,
okay. If because your inner self or higher self, whatever you want to call it, I promise you it's going to let you know when you're out of alignment with your own moral compass, with your own faith and beliefs.
right.
You don't have to follow anybody else's judgment because I promise you, you will know. Pay
Right.
attention to your body. It's going to tense up when something's bothering you or when you've behaved a way you shouldn't have or when you were treated a way you didn't appreciate. So pay attention.
Pay attention, be kind, be kind to
Yes.
yourself, especially. And then, just practice 3 times a day, checking in with yourself.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, if you're in a position where you can do it more than that, like Melissa
Yeah.
said she was doing it every hour and writing
Hmm.
stuff down, go for it. Absolutely. If you can do more, do more. If you can only start with one time a day or one time a week, that's okay. Just try
Right.
something and whatever works for you, try that.
And then do it consistently. Like do it every day for 3 weeks, for even a week. And at the end of the week, you can look back and, oh, you might you might
Absolutely.
you might have changed a
That's
little
where
bit.
those light bulbs are going to start going off and you're going to look back and go, "Oh my gosh, I haven't bitten my nails in a week. I haven't I haven't reached for that bag of potato chips in a month."
Yeah,
Changes just naturally start to happen when you're not even paying attention to them.
that's correct. Becomes
All right.
natural. Yep.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight here. Thank you all. If you've watched us today, Melissa and I are happy to have you here and hope to see you next time. Please feel free to share any comments, questions, or anything you'd like to see with us.
You guys take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.